You're now tuned in to the Desire to Trade podcast, a show where we bring you the best figures of the trading world and teach you how you can become a successful trader. This is your host, Etienne Crete.
I think it's the first podcast interview I had in person, which is going to be really cool. So I want you to tell us, first of all, one quote that inspires you.
That inspires me. Don't give up.
I like that. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's good. Tell us a little bit what's going on these days for you.
I've been traveling quite a bit recently. I haven't taken a break in a long time. So I've been traveling quite a bit. Most of the time when I'm traveling, I'm trying to reach out to some students if they're in the cities and catch up with them in person. So just traveling, trading more on a higher time frame, basically.
I get it. So for you guys that are listening to this or watching this afterward, we are right now in Bangkok. The place is pretty cool. We have a nice view. I'll put a video for you guys to see. Let's go back in time a little bit and tell us how you started to trade exactly.
Well, initially I started off just like everybody else. Indicators, systems, EAs. I've done it all. I've tried all things, and the most things that always attracted me was signal services, because I just didn't want to put in the work myself. I wanted someone else to show me who already knows. And little did I know that I was relying on someone else's performance to pull me through, and sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't work, but it was a constant failure of trying and trying again. So it was a long journey going through that route.
So I guess a lot of people right now search for signals as well online. It's kind of a popular topic.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you shift from wanting to find signals to wanting to trade on your own?
It wasn't until probably 4 or 5 years ago. I had 3 major mentors that influenced my life, who actually pointed me in the right direction. I was constantly just trading, looking for the next best strategy. If it didn't work, change strategies. If that didn't work, change strategies. I went through that process over and over again. And as tough as it was, I just couldn't get the answer. And the answer for me was, well, I should never lose. Obviously we know that doesn't work like that. So as I went more and more through that process, I finally met some mentors saying that you have a lot of knowledge, but you're not applying it in the right way, because you keep looking at the markets in a very linear fashion of what does this chart mean, instead of what does it mean to everybody else versus what does it mean to you. There's a difference, and there's a reason why there's a 95.5 out there, because there's a moment in the market where majority of the traders do certain things in a certain way which you cannot be doing. And that opened up the question and the journey for me. I was like, okay, I get that. So my technical analysis started to focus based on that information.
And how did you move forward after that? Did you, what's the answer, to read more books or find more stuff? Or was it just to apply yourself?
No, I had to apply it myself. I did read a lot more books, but it wasn't really what the books answered. It was, what can I use those books to answer that bottom question? Was like, well, what does this mean? Because this book is available to everybody, right? So what does it mean for the average public versus to me? Why is everyone buying when the world is buying? And why should I sell it when the world is buying? Isn't that counter trend? Isn't the trend supposed to be your friend? It didn't make any sense to me going against the flow. So I had to break down a lot of my previous knowledge to try this different approach. So that was the hardest thing for me.
And now let's move a little bit to today. So how did that affect your trading style today? What would be your trading style right now? And maybe how did that change over time?
Yeah, well, I'm more on a trend pullback kind of guy. However, I do look at ranges quite a bit, but inside the trend pullback. So I always like a trending condition of the market. Gives me more flow, more control of who's in control of the market, either buyers or sellers. And because of that information coming in from the past of I need to focus on it, I almost look at it like imagine if you're on a bicycle. You lean a little bit to the left, you fall. You lean a little bit to the right, you fall. You need to first learn how to balance. But that's just the beginning. You still need to learn how to propel and go forward too. So that's, it's a whole separate thing. So just balancing was the hardest part, and then going forward was a whole separate challenge.
And you find yourself applying this to only Forex or to different markets as well?
Forex, but I have a lot of students who come to me asking about gold, silver, futures market. It works on most markets because we're basically working on the laws of supply and demand. We're not, and when I say supply and demand, I'm not talking about, well, let's draw a little box here with some lines extending out. I'm talking about what does true supply and demand mean? What does it mean? What's the logic behind it? So
let me expand on this. What do you think is the difference between that kind of view of supply and demand, which is like drawing boxes, and I guess trading supply and demand in general?
Well, the thing is, when it comes to supply and demand, everyone's idea in the market is when they hear supply and demand, they think strategy. They don't really look at it in an economic way of things where, well, what do we do in real life, right? How do we buy things? How do we sell things? The unusual part is the way a human being reacts in the real life is very different from how he reacts in trading. And unfortunately, it's extremely weird how they react in trading, because in trading, everything is an experiment for them. And it should not be an experiment. Just like you're very savvy and risk averse when you buy a house, you should be the same way when you're trading. You should be risk averse and always thinking, well, I'm not going to buy it right now. I need a discount. I need a lower price. I need to make sure this house is in the best location and everything, even though there's a million of houses to buy from. But you still do your research and you do all your homework. Mm-hmm. So trading is the same way.
Mm-hmm. And then the follow-up question is just going to be, how did you scale in? Because it's good to know how to trade a little bit. You can make some money trading that way, but how did you increase that to being able to live from trading, I guess?
Well, that took a long time also.
Yeah.
Like I said, balancing on that bicycle was a very difficult journey to begin with, just to know how to not make a loss and turn a little bit of profit. I was probably stuck in the, I would say, $20,000 mark for a very long time. I was making upwards of $40,000, $50,000 when I was working at a bank before. But then when I quit and I went full-time to trading, the threshold that I reached was like approximately $20,000 a year. I would make some, I would cross that barrier, but come right back down to $20,000. Mm-hmm. It took me a long time to break that barrier psychologically and physically to be able to up my game a little bit more with the knowledge of why should it be higher? How can I scale in, and why would the scale in work? Mm-hmm. Because it's very psychological to scale in.
Oh yeah.
So that took some time. I would say that took additional 2 or 3 years for me to actually break through and be like, it's only a number. It's not how much do you deserve you can have. So.
And what did you have to change? Did you have to change your strategy, do some things different, or was it just doing the same thing but maybe more consistent? Or
no, consistency was still there. Strategy was still the same. It was a lot to do with my psychology. Once I started to play around with those numbers, the moment as I started pushing towards 40, 50, I felt like, well, I just replaced my income, what I was earning before, and I started giving the money life, which is, what is this money worth to me? Well, I'm paying rent, I'm paying everything. I gave the numbers a life, which is, this is what I need. This is what's sufficient, and I'm traveling. So, but I never looked at it like a performance sport, like, this is a number that I need to beat again. This is a number that I need to beat again. I never looked at it like a performance sport. I gave my numbers a life. And going through that journey, I never really understood who I was. And trading is a very self-reflection journey. Like, you need to know who you are. If you're aggressive, you're going to get trading results accordingly. If you're conservative, that's going to show. Because not like a normal B2B brick and mortar business, you know your customer. Mm-hmm. You can see the opposite person and make an informed decision. Trading, you don't. You are the customer, and no one wants to really realize who you are personally. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's a very difficult journey to have some self-realization and say, you know what, Navin, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. You need to fix what's the problem, and that's very difficult to do.
Of course. So what are some things that maybe you realized about yourself, and how did you do it? Was it through, because I know a lot of traders do journaling, mm-hmm. and that's how they learn about themselves.
Yeah.
In a different way? Or?
No. Post-analysis was my greatest key in this whole thing, because whenever I used to journal, I used to, after a certain period of time, I was just taking trades, right? Learn something, take a trade. If the trade loses, well, learn something else, and then take a trade. But I never looked at the trade that I did and learned from that. That took a good 2 or 3 years of my life of just try until I hit the golden key. But I never looked at, if I trade, what did I do wrong in there? What was my thought process? What was my psychology? How does this fit into the picture of what is everyone else doing compared to what I'm doing? I never looked at it like that, and it was only when I started to look at it like that and I looked at each trade. So right now what I'm doing is I journal in a whole different way. The industry norm is, well, hey guys, yesterday I took a trade, I made $4,000, here's my statement. I don't do it like that. I do, this is what I'm thinking, here's a screenshot. I took a trade, here's my screenshot of my trade, this is what I'm thinking right now. Here's my exit, here's my screenshot right now. And then a day later, here's my post-analysis. This is what I did right, this is what I did wrong. And on top of that, well, this is how much money was made or lost. So this way, you're not only accountable, but you see your process during the whole journey, not just the end result, So that's how I basically changed into proper post analysis.
Because the thing is that you could trade really bad and still make a lot of money for some time.
Yeah, and exactly. Like you said, it's sometimes. It's not consistent if you're gonna do it that way. It's just like a ticking time bomb.
So of course. And you probably noticed that there's a lot of people selling courses in the trading industry that people want to offer a course, and it's fine. But I think most of the courses are going to be different. What do you think are some things that people need to learn absolutely when they want to get into trading?
Well, there's two things. One is, yes, there are a lot of mentors out there, right? And although some people might look at it like, oh man, there's another mentor out there, yet another mentor out there. Maybe the bottom line of the mentor is not bad. He just wants to help, he just wants to train, and that's okay. What you need to do as a trader is look at that information, apply it, and see, does it help me? Does it work? Can I do this again? Can I do this again? Or is it working today, but it doesn't work tomorrow, but it doesn't work the next day? Well, how can I learn? How can I adapt? Can I ask questions and that the mentor can answer and say, I've been there, done that, this is what you need to do now. That kind of stuff is very critical for each trader, because if you become cynical and think, oh well, he's also a mentor, he's also a mentor, he's also a mentor. Well, if you're going to be cynical like that, when are you ever going to learn? Who are you going to learn from? You need someone to point you in the right direction. So you have to let go of the cynicalism a little bit and be like, okay, I'll listen, but I'll make my own judgment. That's fair. You have to listen.
And it's all about the application in the end, all about putting things in practice.
Absolutely.
You see some of your students who learn from you and then they don't apply what you teach them?
No, I force them.
Okay.
I force them to apply it.
So how do you do that?
Yeah, so basically what I do with my courses is I always release a certain amount of topics. I don't release it all at once. It's not a book where it's like, here, good luck. With a book, what do you have is you read page 1 and 2, you're like, oh, interesting, let me go to page 7. Okay, and suddenly I'm a trader. It doesn't work like that. You have to layer the information piece by piece, right? So what I generally do in my courses is, I give them a little bit of information, then I put a gap in 1 week in between, where it's like, now you go in, you learn the stuff, you practice, and you come back with questions before you learn the next topic. So as you pro each step of the way, then the next piece makes a little bit more sense, and the next piece makes a little bit more sense, and then you have this little toolbox of, you know what, the market needs a hammer and a screwdriver today. Okay, I'm going to use that. Today it needs a wrench. Okay, I'm going to use that today. But you're a pro at every little thing.
Yeah, I like it a lot more, because I think people have this tendency to, they have this big package, they want to go through everything and then go back to see what they have to do at this point. But you don't really master the material that way.
Yeah, exactly. I would say 1 out of every 200 students that come to us says that the information, I need it all at once. I'm sorry, I'm a genius, I need all the information at once, and I'm like, I'm sorry, if I understand you're a genius, you might be studying in a better way than most people do, but take it from my experience, if you want to learn it all in one day, you're going to fail. Which means this may not be the right way for you. With us, there are other mentors out there that are willing to give you a DVD and say good luck.
Of course, so it's not the same support.
It's not the same support. You can watch it, but you don't know what you're doing. So,
and what do you see as being the average time frame for someone to jump into? So let's say they're starting out. What would be the time frame for them to jump to live trading and then profitable trading?
Initially, because trading is very psychological, I would recommend going first part-time. Because if you do it part-time, what happens is when you take a trade and you have a larger enough position where it's like you have not a 2:1 or a 3:1 or 4:1. When I say 4:1, I mean risk to reward, right? You're risking like $100 to make 200 or 300 or 400. Now the mentality in the market is, well, when I trade Forex, I want to turn my amount into exorbitance, this amount right here is going to make me rich. This one trade. And the idea is, well, do you do that when you buy a house? Do you do that when you buy anything else? Like when you buy a cell phone and you're like, okay, now I want to sell the cell phone. What, you're going to make 200% on that cell phone? It's not possible, right? So you can find those edges where you can manipulate the market and be like, I found that moment where I can make 200%. What the average numbers are 100% on average, or less than that, which is 0.8 or 1 is to 1. And that's not a bad number. That number already is beating the banks. But people don't look at it. They look at, oh, that's too low, right? And that's the wrong mentality. You need to be okay with that and first start with a wider stop loss, a decent take profit, which is close to 1:1, start part-time, and once you're in a trade, and if there is a day in between where you have to step away from your computer, sleep, and come back, your mind is not the same anymore, which is you're more calmed down. If you're there live, you're going to mess with that trade, you're going to turn it into a loss. So you have to let it go. In the beginning, trade part-time until you build that instinct of, I need to be patient.
And it's kind of counterproductive to be just watching the chart all day, pretty much.
Yes, I've trained some of my students, some of my staff as well, and they'll be looking at the trade and they'll be like, I think it's not going to work, or I think it's going to work more. I should add a position, I should remove a position, I should close the trade. When you mess with that trade, it's almost like you don't trust the analysis you've done ahead of time, and you're just throwing it out the window, and that's wrong. You have to trust what you've done, and you have to see it through. You have to see it through.
And you're probably at the point, like me, where you don't look at the chart at all during the day, maybe once or twice.
I do still look at the charts because I do a lot of scaling in, where I look at the charts and I see if there's an opportunity for me to add a position. So I still do look at the charts, but if I'm traveling, there's no scaling in. I just leave the chart running, and I come back and I take a look at it.
So let's talk about your schedule then. What would be like your daily schedule as a trader? Let's say you're traveling. What would that look like?
Well, I look at the charts in the morning. I do my morning rituals, which is meditation, a little bit of exercise. I generally don't eat in the mornings on weekdays. But I stick to my morning routine, and when I'm traveling, I'll look at the charts, I'll look at it with my staff, I'll look at my community's posts, see what they're looking into, and I'll look at it on my behalf and see, well, do I see an opportunity that I can exploit? That's all it's, right? It's looking to exploit an edge of, can I make 100, 200% off of something today? And if something makes sense, I get in. Knowing that I have to travel, I'm going to be on a flight for maybe 3-4 hours in between, sometimes 18 hours if I'm going to Montreal. So I know I'm going to be in between, and I also have to calculate, well, will I be able to even log in between while I'm in the airport? Does my plane have Wi-Fi, or am I going to have to, if the Wi-Fi is too expensive on the plane, then I don't want to be logging in from the plane as well. So when I do all this research, I have to think, okay, based on that, I cannot trade, let's say, the 1-hour charts. If the travel journey is too long, I'm going to be trading something from the daily charts, where I can give it a day or a day and a half for the trade to last. So the schedule depends on how busy I am, and then based on that, I don't just trade, I also run 2 different companies, I have a team to manage, I have to be in the top shape to motivate them as well, because if they're not motivated, then they're not, my clients are not going to get good customer service as well. So you have to manage all this for trading, and that actually is my benefit that I have, is I'm able to step away from trading time to time and not just think about it all the time.
I guess the challenge when you do something like this is going to be to remain consistent, because there's going to be opportunities every day.
Yes.
But if you take it only once a week, is it worth it? Or
well, you always, so we have something called a measurement tool, right? Where we look at a trade and we have to measure it, like, is this trade qualified to be a good enough trade for us to trade and exploit? If it's not, then are we strong enough mentally to say, I don't care, I'm not going to touch this trade?
And
that's very hard.
Skill to develop.
Learning not to trade is probably more powerful than learning to trade. Because once you learn to trade, you're going to screw it up by taking everything. So that's a very, very powerful thing to do, is you have to learn not to touch a trade.
So you're taking only basically the best setups that you find, according to like a rank or something?
Yeah, because I have to first know what is my edge in the market, right? The market is available for everybody. You can trade it the way you want. Some people are channel traders, some people are range traders, trend pullback traders, fundamental traders. You need to know what is your edge, right? What is your skill set? And if you're good at it, and if you're good at, for example, channels, then don't try wasting your money or your time with ranges. If you're good at this, then exploit it, use it the best as you can, and still learn all the stuff on the side, but don't put in the same lot size or anything on them. Don't even go live with those, practice those on the demo. But if you're good at something, exploit it. I would say go big.
So is it right to say that you use the same kind of chart pattern or technical analysis but on different time frames?
Yeah, every time.
Okay.
Every time.
So if you're going to be like a reversal trader, it's going to be reversal on all time frames?
Sorry?
If you're going to be like a reversal trader or like a pullback trader, it's going to be the same thing on all time frames?
On all time frames.
Okay.
On all time frames,
Interesting.
Yeah, so you have to look for your setup to meet a certain condition, and then you have to look for that logic. The logic of, does it fit the story of what is the world doing right now? Are they looking at this as a buy, or are they looking at this as a sell? And is my setup that I generally like to see, does it fit in that criteria? So that means my technical analysis cannot work in every market scenario. This is where people make the mistake. They look at technical analysis thinking, I will use it in every market situation.
The RSI every single day.
Every single day. Yeah. No, because that's the reason why sometimes when they use a technical analysis, it works to the pit. But sometimes it doesn't work at all, and it goes the other way, and you're like, well, what happened? Let me keep trying, because it works sometimes.
Yeah.
That answer is, it's because the market conditions are not lining up with the thought process of why are people buying right now and why are people selling?
And that's a big lesson I had to learn. Did you figure this out with the fundamental perspective, or it's only technical?
Well, this stuff was, like I said, my mentors had to push me through, like grabbing my hair, like, are you crazy? Are you not watching this thing? Like, what is wrong with you? And I didn't get it. I was like, yeah, but I did all my homework. All the indicators are lining up and everything. Now I don't trade with indicators, but back in the day, they were like, yes, but I can do that. And if I just take a screenshot of that, I can show the next guy, and he will do the same thing. So what's the difference between you and him? If he can learn that in 2 minutes. So I was like, well, I guess you're right. He's like, think about that number, 95.5. That number is there for a reason. Don't waste your time doing what the 95% do. It was really hard to wrap my head around that. It's like, okay, so what the hell does the 5% do? I don't know, and it was that basic logic of, if they don't do the same thing, they only understand the logic of when to do the same thing and when not to do it. And that was a big tipping point for me.
So how do you figure out the when to do this and when not to do it? Is it with technicals or fundamentals?
No, well, so generally, the general example that I give to all of my students, and I explain to in my webinars as well, is let's imagine a chart is going upwards, right? Chart's going upwards, pulls back, going upward again, pulls back, going upward again. And I ask the question, what's the market doing right now? Everyone will say it's an uptrend. Pulls back a little bit, so this is the uptrend. Pulls back a little bit, 20%. What does the public say? It's an uptrend. Pulls back a little bit, pulls back down a little bit. What's the direction? Oh, it's an uptrend because it's at support and resistance. And then it crashes from there. What is it now? Oh, it's a downtrend. So you missed the entire move down, and then now it's a downtrend? So aren't we all chasing the market?
Yeah,
if we're all, yeah. I didn't get that for the longest time. So it's like, so we're always following and chasing the market at the end of the whole situation, because by the time we realize it's a downtrend, we are taught a downtrend is when the market's like this. But to be like this, the trade is gone. So what I generally like to repeat all the time is you need to learn to anticipate, not participate. So that's a very, very critical thing to do.
And I think people feel a lot more confident when they see like a big chart with a big uptrend to buy. I guess that's the easy way.
Yeah, well, the trend is your friend, right?
Yeah,
like that's but it's like no one tells you, well, the trend is your friend. How? No one tells you the how. It's just the trend is your friend, and the trend used to be my friend for the longest time, but it wasn't my bank account's friend.
Yeah. So I guess right now you're trading. You say pullback. So how do you react when there's no pullback in the market? Like when everything is sideways?
Oh, stand by.
Stand by.
Stand by. Yeah, it's as simple as that. You have to stand by. You have to learn to stand by. That used to be my biggest problem. I used to make money, and then when the market conditions changed, I used to give it all back.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, I was like, a certain time of the year, I was up 40, 50, 60,000, and I'm back to 20. And I'm sitting there, it's like, what's the point of doing this? Should I take a vacation during these times? Or what if the next year, it's not the same time this happens? How do I know? I don't know. I need to learn how to read when not to trade. And that became my next objective of, I need to learn when not to trade. That's my next goal. Like, I need to fix that,
Yeah.
So that became an obsession for me of like, when do I sit on my hands and handcuff myself to, like, I don't know, the refrigerator, like, don't touch the market.
Which is essential, because you cannot really expect to trade full time if you don't do this necessarily.
Yeah, because we all come from an industry where action produces results, which is, our grandparents, our mom and dad are always telling us, you need to do something to expect results, work hard. So everything in our mind is, if I don't do, I don't get. So it's very difficult for us not to do if we're full-time traders. It's like, so you're telling me I don't do anything right now, and that's going to be more profitable? Like, it almost sounds idiotic, right?
Yeah.
but it's just we're trained that way growing up in the corporate world that we must do to earn.
Have you found any kind of methods or trick to help you not trade, or is it just come over time with practice?
Meditation was my key. I used to be a very aggressive person, where little things used to upset me and get angry, and just doing some self-reflection and knowing when this situation comes up, how do I react, how do I handle it,
right?
Stuff like that started applying to me in my trading as well. It's like I see the setup, but I get some kind of feeling that there's something wrong in this trade. Do I ignore it and say, what's the setup anyways, just hit the buy? Or do I say, if you're feeling something wrong, just step back. It's okay, step back. What are you going to do with the money if it's going to be a loss? Step back. So then I was able to overcome my greed and work with fear as well and make it a balance. So, but initially it was purely fueled by greed when I started the market. It was just like everybody else. I wanted to make the most amount.
Most people do the same thing and have the same worst thing in the market.
Yeah. When I started, that was the whole goal. I'm going to make so much money that my friends are going to be so jealous. Whatever. The stupid stuff that we think about initially. It's like I'm just going to walk around and money's just going to follow me. It doesn't work like that. We all find that the hard way. And hearing it from my parents, hearing it from my mentors, saying that, look, one thing for certain is trading does pay out a lot. It pays out better than what doctors earn and stuff like that. But doctors go to college for 8 to 12 years. You're not willing to give at least 5. You're not willing to give at least 3, at least 1. It almost sounds like, that's true. I'm trying to make it overnight. It's not going to happen. It's not going. You need to put in the work.
But it has to be kind of smart work, because you cannot just trade for 5 years and expect to win.
I'm telling you, for me, the reason why it took 7, 8 years is because the first 3 or 4 years I kept changing systems. I never realized what was the mistake. It wasn't until I was pointed in the right direction. But even then, I couldn't accelerate, right? I was telling you, I was trying to balance on the bike. That is just one piece of the key. You need to learn how to make money from that. So.
And what do you see as some of the biggest mistake your students make in general? Is there 1 or 2 things that are kind of common?
Trying trades.
Okay.
They start to become good at certain things, and then they try something, and they have such good feelings about trying something that they put money onto that, and they start losing money from that. Trying stuff, I think this works because my knowledge says this and this and this is good. So if this looks good, let me put in 2, 3 standard lots on that.
You see the possibility of making money, and I've been guilty of that for sure.
Me too. Like there's till this day, I do a lot of experiments with counter trend trades, and counter trend trades. Generally, I like doing stuff where my stop losses are very tight, and with the tight stop loss, you're able to go with risk rewards like 5 or 7 arm, but they don't work so well on counter trend trades. So whenever I experiment with counter trend trades, I always end up with a loss, and then the trade goes in my favor for that 7, 8 R or 8, 8:1 risk reward, and I'm sitting there like, again this happened. Navin, slow down. Again this happened. Navin, slow down. And then it takes me a series of 10 trades to be like, okay, enough of this. So even when you start to become a little bit better at trading, you still will have this problem. You just need to be consistent, not just in trading, but also in the mindset. You have to be consistent and learn to never let the ego take over your trading. You have to know, even though you're good, you might be better than the average person, calm down. You still need to be better. You still need to perform, because you got to be better than yourself, not anybody else. That no one else matters. You have to be better than yourself.
Yeah, sure.
So that's a very important piece.
Okay. And I guess it all comes down to being aware. Once again, like we talked about, you have to be aware of how you perform, what you do.
Yes.
And kind of being able to analyze that neutrally. Just cannot just be, I'm super good, I'm super bad.
You can look at it in 2 ways. You can look at the money you make from trading and be like, oh, look at all those people who don't have money. You can put a positive spin on it. You can put a negative spin on it. Well, I'm just earning this much compared to the people on Wall Street earning $3 million a week. You can put a negative spin on it, or you can put a spin on it as I'm doing better than I was yesterday.
Right.
And I think that is the most healthiest way to do it.
It's having a growth mindset.
Yeah, growth mindset. You can't compare yourself to anybody else except yourself. If you're doing better than yesterday, be happy. Be happy. Learn to grow slowly.
Is there anything we didn't talk about that you would like to maybe teach people, something that they should know or they should use in the market?
Well, they have to learn how to learn from their mistakes. Post-analysis is very, very important. That every time you trade and you make a mistake, you need to definitely look back and find out what you did wrong and why. And you can't repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Because that's the number one key, is every mistake that you're doing, chances are it's a repetition.
And yeah, the thing is you have to be aware. You have to spend some time to look at your mistake and be aware of it to do. It's like the same one repeat as we talked about.
Yes.
And we talked about the fact that you dropped out of college to pursue trading and you moved to India.
Yes.
Was it a good decision for you to drop out of college, or was it something you regret a little bit?
No. So while I was in college, I was in college for 7 years, right? And there was a possibility for me to get a degree in 4 different things because I was in college for that long. But I dropped out of college because I started to see some performance in my trading. And at this time, I was still working for a bank. I was working for a BB&T bank in Washington, D.C. So I was earning quite a bit of money over there as well. So I dropped out, I quit my job, I moved out to India because I saw some kind of progress in my trading. Now, the downside to that was I didn't give it enough time to make that decision because, as we all know, when you're trading, for a short period of time you might make some money, but that's not the future. You're not going to constantly make some money. And I didn't realize it until it was too late. But the pro for that was I started that journey from that moment. Of course, there were times where I suffered, I didn't have money to eat, and I went through that whole phase, and I was too proud to ask my parents for money. I was that kind of a kid. But I went through my fair share of struggles, just like everyone does. But that's what pushed me of, I can't live like this.
Yeah.
This is not me. I can't live like this. What is it required from me to be better? And that's what really propelled me to really work day and night. I had friends going to parties, flying to different destinations, saying, "Hey, Navin, let's go. It's my birthday. I'll pay for your plane ticket. Come with me." And it was a very difficult decision for me. Oh, it's free. I should go. It's a birthday party, To a point where I'm like, no, I'm sorry. I have work to do. And my work was going home and researching and how I can do better. Although that research was trading strategies at that time, trying to look for the right strategy. But I gave it my blood and sweat at that time. It's like I gave it what I need to give it to be at a stage where I am today. Although it's not pro like the people at Wall Street, but it is better than who I was yesterday.
Yeah,
it's constantly improving. And so that was very. I look back at that journey and I say, if it wasn't for that journey, I would not have been where I am today. You have to be uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I was going to ask you, is there anything you learned in college that's useful for your trading, or not at all?
I'm sure you have a lot of students watching this podcast.
Yeah, sure. I know some people who are starting to trade, they are in college. They might want to do this full-time in the future, or they might want to work for a bank also, and that's going to vary, that's going to depend a lot.
Yeah.
But was anything useful in college?
Honestly, please don't take this the wrong way, because I feel like parents are going to watch this too. You're the reason my kid dropped out of school.
Possible.
No, that was my own personal journey, dropping out and saying this is not for me. Because I looked at college, they were trying to make me an all-rounded student.
Yeah.
And what an all-rounded student is good for is to be average, is to be a good person in society, to perform. But they're not there to excel. They're not there to be like, you know what, there's 30 students in this room, but you are going to be something beyond what you need to be. Only you can do that for yourself.
Right.
You need to step up on your game and be like, it's not just about the homework or the exams. What am I going to do that's going to change the way who I am tomorrow? And you need to look back and be like, I'm proud of the decisions I made. But if you drop out of college and you're not proud of it and you regret it, then you're going to be you're going to have some troubles.
Yeah. But would you agree that the people you meet kind of during your journey really help you the most to succeed and have breakthroughs?
I really believe that, I don't know if people are into this kind of stuff, but I really believe if you really, 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 really want something in life, I actually do believe the universe or the energies or whatever, they help you out. Because the mentors I've met, I wasn't supposed to meet them. I didn't meet them on the internet. I met them in a bar.
Yeah.
I met him in a bar. I was drinking with this guy for 2 months in a row, and we never talked about work. He was my friend's friend. Until one day he opened up the conversation saying, what do you do? I'm like, I do something like Forex. It sounds like the stock market. I don't know if you've heard of it. He's like, I trade Forex.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it's just another guy saying he trades Forex. Like, I get that a million times a day. Like, I'm a Forex trader. I'm like, no, you're not. But he's like, I'm going to show you a few things by email, and you tell me how you like it. He sent me some stuff. I saw some of his trades, and I was like, this guy's got a crystal ball or something. Like, okay, another one. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. Like, then I followed him for 3 months. Like, please train me. I did my part of stalking. Like, I was that guy who's like, look, man, I know you have the answer. I'm not gonna quit until you sit down and train me. And I guess that's what he liked, that I wasn't a quitter, that I wasn't gonna throw in the towel saying, oh, you know what? I make $10,000 a year, $20,000 a year trading Forex. Who do you think you are? No, I let go of my ego, and I'm like, there is someone better than me. I need to learn. And that was the best decision I made, and he pushed me to the right direction. He forced me to think outside the box, and that's where I am today because of that. Because someone out there knew more than I did, and that's what's important. You can't stop growing.
Yeah, that's great.
Forever a student, right?
Yeah, of course. Is there something that you learned like recently, or what was like one of your recent lessons in trading?
Well, I learn constantly by watching my students, actually. You know, because
I think that's powerful.
Yeah, because my students actually come with me from the general market, right? Someone's coming to me and saying, you know, what do you think about back patterns? And what are you talking about back patterns? You know, like so there's like this little things that they're drawing with two different triangles. They're doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm, you know, whenever I open a trading view or something like that, and I see all these back patterns on the whole front page, it's like, oh, it looks like the market has shifted again. They went from indicators to price action to these back patterns, and then I don't know what the next wave is. But the market goes through certain waves of what they like, then they downplay the previous thing, saying, oh, that thing doesn't work, it's garbage, use this is the new thing. So they go through the whole phase, but you know, us as mentors, we look at that and like, okay, so the market's in a new stage now. What does that mean for us? How can we survive in this dungeon? You know, because it's a mess, right? It's a dog-eat-dog world, and you need to learn how to survive with new players coming into the market, trading a different style. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier that your trading changed to like indicators to now only no indicators. What does that look like on a more precise basis?
But basically, from indicators to no indicators, is I've replaced the middleman. I am the indicator now, because I'm still technically following the market based on what the market's telling me, but I'm not chasing it. So I'm even trying to challenge myself on not to following the market. So what I used to do is the price used to move. Indicator used to move behind the price, and I was the guy behind the indicator, right? Which is like 3 steps behind. Now, cut out the indicator, I used to follow the market as price action. That was still wrong, because I'm still following the market, which means what's the difference between the indicator and me? It's still the same thing. Then I started learn to anticipate the market's going to turn before the visual design is there. If the visual design is there, you're late. If you hear about an opportunity and it comes to your ears, you're late. You know, if everyone's telling you to buy Tesla right now, you're late. You know,
way too late.
Way too late. Like by the time people hear about it, the only thing that gets them to enter that trade is purely greed, because there's nothing else there in terms of market analysis. So you have to learn to be like, okay, well, what does this mean for me soon? Not now, but soon. What can I do? So perfecting that is the key.
It's interesting. I have a mentor who kind of pushed me to adopt this kind of methodology, mentoring without like confirmation. But I found like seeing stop loss is much more important than that. How do you deal with that?
Well, stop loss is as simple as it sounds in terms of brokerages, where I can just place my stop loss here, or what's your stop loss going to be? Oh, 20 pips. Or what's your stop loss going to be? Oh, below my recent low. What's your stop loss going to be? Below the exhaustion candle or pin bar. General terms, right? There are 3 main techniques: a fixed number, psychological number, 0, 0, or 50. It's going to be below the recent low, or maybe trailing stop loss as well. None of these things work unless you don't understand what the market is doing. That's why I actually did a whole webinar on stop loss on YouTube, where I actually explained why stop loss is an advanced topic, not a basic topic. It's not something you can just be like, well, since I entered, I'll put my stop here because I'm safe. How do you know that is safe? You if you can't read the market, anywhere you put your stop loss is a risk, which means there's a chance of getting hit for no reason. So it's a very big risk.
Yeah, I like that. So we'll put the link for that webinar in the show notes.
Oh, sure.
You can watch it if needed after that. And I think I'll watch it anyway.
Okay, cool. Okay.
So how can people find you if they want to connect with you or reach out and see what you're doing?
Well, urbanforex.com is my website. If they want to reach out to me personally, Navin at urbanforex.com is my email address. Otherwise, I hold webinars every 2 weeks.
So tell us about it a little bit, the webinars.
Yeah, so the reason why I do webinars bi-weekly, right? 2 times a month. I do it live. 2 things. I like to connect with people, and also there are some students who come to me saying that I can't afford their courses. And that to me just reminds me of who I used to be. After some time and credit cards and everything, I couldn't afford stuff too. So as much as it sometimes hurts my business, I do still openly give out information in my webinars. It's slower, of course, because it comes out every 2 weeks. But if you're patient enough and you want to give it a year's time to learn it slowly like that, you're going to get some good information from my webinars, because the webinars I do has probably one of the highest attendees in the world. It also has no nonsense in there. I don't do stories. I don't waste time. Within 5 minutes, I'm into the topic, and I go on all the way until the end for 50 minutes. We don't waste any time in the webinar. So that's why the webinars are quite popular as well. But it's just we don't hold back. We give out the information that's necessary.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing. And we'll put the link for your latest webinar in the show notes, I guess. You can join and attend the webinar if you want.
Sure.
So it's every 2 weeks. Is there a specific day that people need to know? Or?
Generally, I do them on a Tuesday, but it's every 2 weeks.
Okay, good. So put the link there. And what kind of goal you have for the future, maybe?
Well, I'm looking into building up a little prop firm for me and my students, where the students, I will remove their risk even more. So what I have is a little elite community where I vetted some of the students that I've trained, and from there I'm going to be picking out certain students who are really excelling in what I have to teach, and I'm going to start handing out some company money to them with company accounts. And okay, now you trade this, risk is mine, but whatever you earn a small percentage of it. And so a prop firm is the next thing for me.
Okay.
I'll set up a little shop somewhere, maybe in Bangkok, maybe in Singapore, so we'll see.
And what's your motivation for doing this?
Okay, to be honest, it's a selfish motivation. It might sound like I'm out there trying to help people or stuff. It's not. And the reason why I say that is I put out these webinars and I reach out. I want to make Urban Forex the #1 educational company out there for Forex. The reason being is because when I was starting off, I didn't have that kind of help. If I didn't somehow bump into my mentors, no one would have showed me, because we know when we look at YouTube and stuff like that, it's full of garbage. It's full of garbage out there. So we don't have really good information out there, nor if there is good information, maybe that person doesn't know how to teach, right? That's also a big problem. So when I teach people my way, my techniques, and they start to have breakthroughs and aha moments, I don't really look at it like I'm helping them. I look at it like that makes me feel good. If it makes me feel good, I'm going to keep doing it. So it's a selfish reason. It may look like I'm helping people. If it benefits them, so be it. But it is a selfish reason. I do it for myself. If that moment comes to an end, I will close shop.
Yeah.
So just being honest.
Of that. No, it's great that you put good information out there, because there's so many garbage, and I've seen many great traders don't know how to teach. And it's kind of bad, but that's what happens.
Yeah,
they cannot teach.
And I agree with that. There's a lot of good traders out there, but they just can't teach. So
So
that's
a big thing also.
Absolutely.
Cool. So Navin, we have a question we ask the guests at the end of every podcast. So if you could give only one piece of advice for traders in one sentence, what would that one sentence of advice be?
Learn from your mistakes and don't give up. It's extremely hard, but do not give up. Do not give up. If you want to make it, if this is what you want to do, then don't stop. That's all. Don't stop.
Navin, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Cool. It was great to see you.
Cool. Sounds good.
Thank you.
And I'll see you guys in the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Desire to Trade podcast. To get all the information on this show, free articles, and unique resources, make sure to check out www.desiretotrade.com and subscribe. please leave us a review and let us know what you thought about the show. It's time to become the best trader you can be. See you next time.